Welcome to Let's Talk Football with me, Chris.
And me, Richard.
A podcast bringing you the latest in football news. Every week we discuss all the big talking points from the world of football and preview all the action in the week to come.
In this week's podcast, Manchester City are charged with breaching over 100 Premier League regulations over a 10-year period. On the pitch, records were broken as Tottenham beat the champions by a 1-0 thanks to Harry Kane's 267th goal for the club. Casemiro will miss the next 3 Manchester United games following an incident in their win over Palace, and Everton shocked the league leaders as Sean Dyche wins his first game back in charge.
Plenty to get through. We even nearly ran out of jingle. So let's talk football. Hello, everybody.
Was it nearly broadcast critical with the jingle?
It was. We were getting to the very end there.
Whoops.
But we're all good. But there's just so much going on.
It is, absolutely.
It's just all kicked off all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And this the breaking news yesterday, really, I think is where we need to start.
Yeah.
Or Monday, depending on when you're listening to this. Manchester
City are in so much trouble.
They're in a lot of bother right now. I mean, they're proclaiming their innocence.
Yeah, and to be fair, innocent until proven guilty, but...
Indeed.
I mean, it doesn't sound great.
Doesn't sound great, especially given that in the UEFA case that went to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which obviously, well, I say obviously, you might not know, can't happen with the Premier League regulations.
Yeah,
they're not subject to that mediation or that appeal process. That was on the basis that UEFA's ruled a time barred.
Yeah.
They said a lot of the appeal overturn for Manchester City in the UEFA case was that time bar. Premier League doesn't have that time bar.
They didn't have enough evidence to substantiate their claim, even though.
But it wasn't so much that; it was the time. So the time that it happened was. So UEFA can only investigate going back 5 years.
Oh, I see.
That's what the time bar means. So
right.
The time bar was around. UEFA, under their regulations, could only go back 5 years, so they couldn't punish them in the way. Hence why they, in the end, only ended up having to pay the 10 million. I don't know if it was a euro fine or a pound fine.
Yeah, it would have been in euros, yes. Probably.
So that's why that happened, which means that actually the Court of Arbitration for Sport thought that they probably did break some of that time, unless they didn't even get that far and they just said, right, that's older than 5 years, so we're not even going to bother looking at it, which might be what happened.
And in the Premier League one, this has been an investigation since 2018, hasn't it?
4 years they've been doing this, 4 long years. And, they've sort of been explaining why it's taken a bit longer, because they've been trying to get information, and seems like they've also charged City with not cooperating with the investigation.
Yeah.
So that'll have its own thing. So yeah, I think you've got some details on what the alleged breaches might be. So you want to take us through a few of those?
Yeah. So the alleged breaches are they've breached financial fair play, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of the cornerstone of the Premier League's sort of argument, case, however you want to put it. There's some misdemeanors to be done with Roberto Mancini and how much he was actually being paid and how much they actually declared he was being paid, allegedly.
I think this is a weird one, because apparently they found that he'd got a secret contract wrapped up in a subsidiary somewhere.
Essentially, it was wrapped up somewhere else. Yeah. So he was being paid X on the books, whereas he was actually being paid X in real terms.
Yeah.
Obviously, their sponsorship things have always been a bit seedy, should we say.
For me, the weird thing with this overall is, and it was quite obvious, City aren't as big a club. No matter how you wrap it up, they're not as big a club as Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United or Liverpool.
No.
Fact.
So what they essentially are, the Abu Dhabi group own a number of clubs.
So it was always odd to me that they were top of the revenue chart.
Yeah. But from what I understood and from what I've seen in the past, because of Manchester City's bottom line, or what they actually make at the end of the year. So from the sponsorship thing, I believe, anyway, this is my interpretation of it. So if they make a £300 million loss
Yeah, they just...
The Abu Dhabi group would then give them a loan or a new sponsorship deal
Yeah,
for £300 million
exactly.
to negate the loss that they were taking.
Yeah.
So they would then comply with FFP because you can only make a £15 million loss within a year.
Yeah.
That's as much as I understand of that aspect of it.
Yeah, which is pretty much the thoughts of how they've worked it over the years. Is that, hey, look, we can just use our other companies to sponsor this one, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah, but that is very much...
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was talking about this the other day. It's interesting that this summer, Manchester City got back in more than they spent for probably the first time in a long time.
In terms of players.
In players' terms, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
But I just think that
finally decided they were going to play by the rules.
Yeah, but I think that City are in that position as a football club right now, that's where they are, and I think we'll come on to the punishments maybe a bit more later, because obviously one of the other things that I think one of the charges that have been breached against them, been mentioned, is around player remuneration and how that's been reported.
Yeah, so they've not been saying how much the players are actually being spent on, and how much they're buying players for, and
and how much they're earning, and all of that as well.
Yeah.
So there's all of these things. So they have spent, right? If we're to judge this on the face of it, and what the Premier League is saying, since 2008-9, right? I believe what it was.
When the Abu Dhabi group took over,
up to 2017-18.
Yeah.
They've spent that whole period effectively breaking the rules of the Premier League, which has got them to this position that they're in now.
Mm-hmm.
So any punishment that they give out needs to undo, in my eyes, all of that. It needs to be so far back that if they play by the rules, it's going to take them another 10-15 years to catch up again. That's my opinion on this. If they're proven to be guilty on all of these things across that whole time period, and if the Premier League come down hard, then someone needs to send this all on to Formula One, right?
Yeah.
If they've proven that, and the punishment, for me, the punishment needs to fit
the crime.
The crime is that they, over a prolonged number of years, have benefited from this accounting process. Let's be honest, it's an accounting process they're doing. It's a little bit of juggling. Cooking
the books, I think, is the phrase, isn't it?
You can use that term, but for legal reasons, I won't.
Okay.
That needs, all of that advantage that they've gained through doing this needs to be stripped back off them.
Yeah.
We can argue the point, and I think that they should have been allowed to invest what they could afford to invest. So if the rules are the rules. If you break the rules, you break the rules. The rules are there. Mm-hmm. We can argue whether or not the rules should be there. I think the rules are a little bit harsh on some of these people who want to come in and invest in a football club.
Yeah.
As much as Todd Bowley's been absolutely crazy, he's got the money. He's got the capital to back it up. He should be able to come and invest in his football club and do that. Any other business, he can put money. He can put as much money as he likes into growing that business, into the assets of the company and all those kind. He can do that. So why shouldn't he be able to do it with a football club that he owns? Right.
Yeah, there is that out there.
As long as you've got that backup, and you're not putting undue. I think it should be about loan levels and stuff like that, and debt levels that you potentially focus FFP on a bit more, for me.
Yeah,
because that's the problem. That's the problem that you leave football clubs with, is actually you need to be able to guarantee all the players' contracts up to a certain point.
Yeah. So
Todd Bowley's coming, giving these 8.5-year contracts. Okay, fine. Say he sells the club in a couple of years, but you've decided to invest that. So why don't you? But you personally, or as the investor, the investment group, have to secure those contracts. And if the club can't afford to play those contracts, the investment firm that you're wrapped up in, they pay that. But
this was the whole reason why FFP was bought in.
But FFP was bought in. It should technically have been bought in for long-term sustainability.
It was bought in to essentially level the playing field.
It was for me. It was more around clubs like Portsmouth.
Yeah,
and Birmingham City, who have had trouble.
It's all about not spending beyond your means.
It's the sustainability, exactly. It's the sustainability. We don't want more Bury situations. We've seen the same with.
We don't want clubs going bust.
We've seen the same with Derby. We've seen all these.
Bolton, Sunderland,
for me, these for me are the clubs and the sustainable features that the financial rules should be there to support those clubs, right?
Yeah.
I don't want Manchester City to do well. It's the last thing I want to see do well.
No.
But actually, they're multi-billionaires.
Yeah.
They can do this, and they should be able to invest in it.
But then we become a league of we are just chasing our own tail, aren't we?
Yeah, but
whereas at least with FFP, you've got this level.
It's not though, is
where
it?
You cannot spend.
It's not though, is it? It's not though, is it?
No.
Let's be honest, right? It's not a fair playing field because the Premier League have had these rules since 2008-9, right?
Yeah.
Just maybe around the time of the takeover for Manchester City, and they've still done it. It was Chelsea really that started it, wasn't it?
It's Chelsea that broke the camel.
But even still, Abramovich could afford to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think your financial regulations need to be around sustainability of football clubs and not punishing people for investing in their club, because I think you have a right to be able to do that as an owner, and I don't really think it's up to anything else for that. I think that's just the way we're built. We're not an NFL franchise with salary caps and things like that. That's not football. That's not the business of football. So for me, I think that needs to be where they lie. So you can argue all of this, but the fact of the matter is that the rules are the rules. They've broken the rules, and the punishment needs to fit
crime.
Yeah, something that is broken, and it is about they've got to unwind that success of the last 10 years. Now, I'm not buying into all this. Take trophies off them.
No,
that's nonsense for me. I think it's got to be around for the future. Me as a United fan, I don't want to. I think potentially. I mean, in the time frame, I think technically it's 2 league titles for us in the time frame.
Yeah,
where we came, obviously the Aguero day. Most painful day of my life. And then there was the year that Mourinho came second.
Yeah.
So those would technically be 2 league titles in the time frame, and then obviously if this drags on and goes further, there's a potential 3rd one in it for United. I don't want that. I don't think any fan in their right mind.
No. When Rangers were found in breach of their rules up in Scotland, they didn't have their titles taken away from them, did they? They just got relegated.
Yeah, but when you look at what happened to Juventus on the other hand, their rule breaks and their issues. I mean, I know that was a bit more of a corruption issue than a financial issue, but it was still rule breaking when it led to stuff, and they did scale back, didn't they? They did take titles off them.
They took titles off and then relegated them to Serie C.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, we might as well get into this now, being as we're here. One of the punishments is for them to be expelled from the league. But what I read today, very interestingly, is that the EFL are not obligated to take them.
No, they're not.
So you could be in a position where Manchester City Football Club have to go right back to the bottom of the pyramid, or at least to the National League, maybe.
Yeah, because they have to apply to be part of the EFL.
Yeah.
Whilst it's obviously promotion and relegation, it's different. Obviously, it's expected once a side is relegated from the Premier League, they are accepted back into the EFL and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, but yes, they don't actually have to physically.
Yeah. Because I think, again, for me, that kind of punishment, it's like, well, you could harm them for 1 season.
Yeah.
Send them into the Championship, and then they could be back.
Yeah.
And, that Manchester City could do that for a year.
Yeah.
All their players are on massive contracts. They don't need to sell anybody.
No.
So it could just be a case of, okay, fine. We can parry it out. Some of the players might not like it. But, under the promise that, look, it's going to be a year. We'll cruise this league.
Yeah.
Because they would. I mean, I know the Championship is very competitive, but Manchester City would destroy that league. Let's not pretend otherwise. Be interesting to see if Pep stayed, though.
Well, this is the thing I was just going to say. Pep has already said if they are found guilty, then he walks away.
Yeah, because they told him that they'd done nothing wrong, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But the players are locked down. The players are locked into their contracts. You know, they are assets of that football club even more than Pep Guardiola is. They would not. I don't see many of their players being allowed to leave, if any.
So, would you like me to go through the punishments that the commission
let's have a look then.
might impose?
Yep.
So, we talked about points deduction.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's one of the levers they could pull.
Yeah.
Suspending a club from playing league matches is another one, obviously. Recommend to the board that league matches can be replayed. I can't see how that would happen.
That's a bit much. Can we go back to 2010-11 and make them play QPR and lose 5-0, please? Thank you.
Recommend to the board that the league expels the respondent club, which is obviously what we've discussed. Cancelling and refusing registration of players might be an interesting one.
Yeah, transfer embargo.
Decide to do that.
But
transfer embargo or ripping up the contracts of the players that have been found to be in breach of this thing.
But a lot of those players will have gone.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, you don't know, do you? You don't know how deep this thing goes.
Who's really left at where they would have been investigating, though? Really,
so 2018. So you're looking at De Bruyne.
Yeah.
You're looking at John Stones. Ederson was a little bit later, I think. Yeah.
But you're not talking about
Carl Walker, maybe.
Well, he'd be in the time frame, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So you're looking at still a few of the players that are on their books.
Yeah.
Obviously, financial punishment to me doesn't fit the crime.
No,
Manchester City could write a check tomorrow.
Exactly.
And
you could fine them £200 million.
Yeah.
And it would mean nothing to them. It might put a lot of other clubs off.
Yeah.
But
then does the point deduction happen for this season or does it happen for next season?
I think it happens.
I don't think it's going to actually be sorted out until the season is over.
That's the thing. I think it'll happen at the point of they'll put the points on, I imagine, given at the point of time that the decision's made. So whether we're in this season or next season, that'll be.
And then what do you give them? Do you give them 10, 15, 30 like Luton got all them years ago?
Yeah, I think.
I
think the other Premier League clubs will push.
Fits the crime?
I think the other Premier League clubs will push for them to be thrown out. It's in their interest.
Seems to be the consensus.
It's in their interest. If nothing else, if you become really cynical about it anyway, right?
Yeah.
It is in their best interest to get City out of the league, and let's not pretend otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Get them out.
Yeah.
That's one less person at the table. That's another team from the Championship that could come up. You know, that'll sort itself out, how they sort that out, I'm sure. So it's...
Yeah, because there's obviously there's a way. How'd you sort that out?
Yeah, well, you know, they just maybe pick a fourth one or be both playoff finalists or something like that.
Yeah, could be.
But in essence, I think the clubs will try and push for them to be gone.
Expelled, yeah.
Now, whether the Premier League do that will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I think you've got to kind of unravel it, and I think the only way you unravel it is to give them that kind of punishment. That means you need to build again over 10 years to get back. 10 years of punishment for 10 years of breaches.
Yeah.
That for me is the only thing I think that they should come out of this with. It's not as if
then a warning to everybody else. It's not that we are watching you.
It's not a one-season thing. This they've been doing it for years. If it turns out to be true that they've been doing this, it's been happening for a decade.
Yeah.
You cannot let them get away with
you can't just slap them on the wrist.
A decade of breaking rules that are only going to affect them for one season and doesn't really punish them in the long term.
No.
Because if it's just a one-season thing, they say they take 30 points off them. City can score 70 points in a league.
Yeah,
easy.
With a 30-point deficit. Yeah,
yeah, easy. they could get to 45, 50 points.
Yeah,
easy. Off the back of that, so yes, it wouldn't be in charge of title, but that only harms them for 1 year.
Yeah, because then they'd be back to 0 from the following season.
Yeah, that only hurts them for 1 year. So this punishment needs to go back that many years. Otherwise, teams might just think about doing it for a year or two.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a difficult balancing act.
Yeah. So we'll see how it all plays out. It's going to be a long one. It's not going to be a short over very soon.
No, I don't see it being sorted by the end of the season.
I think they've got there's the KC, the lawyer, who will pick a panel of 3, so him, including himself and 2 other lawyers,
right,
or people. Actually, they don't necessarily have to be lawyers.
And then
they will then look at the case, look at what's on. They'll then do private hearings with the club, with the Premier League, get the evidence, build their own say, and then they'll come to a decision.
Yeah,
they'll then release that decision. But City,
and then Manchester City will appeal it. Straight away.
They will, unless they're cleared. Well, the Premier League, but the Premier League can appeal as well, by the way. So both sides can appeal, and then basically what they do then is the same KC, the same person will then create another panel of 3 to hear, but they will only hear the appeals. They won't hear it won't go back to the evidence. It won't go
back to the evidence.
It goes back to the appeals and what the exact appeals are based on, and then that decision. So that could take months and months and months to get sorted. So this one's going to drag on for a while.
But it's not been a great week for Manchester City.
No, and we can get back to the football if you like at this point. Let's talk about.
I'd love to talk about it.
Let's talk about the record breaker. He scored his 267th. Goal for Tottenham, as well as his 200th Premier League goal.
Yeah. Andy Cole is livid.
Indeed.
And it was very much a case of Manchester City cannot beat Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
They haven't even scored a goal there, have they?
No, 5 games, 5 defeats, haven't scored a goal.
Yeah, it's a bad place for them to go. They were bad. There's something going on. I mean, I know you want to talk about it from a Tottenham point of view, but City were not Manchester.
To be fair to them,
they were not Manchester City.
No, to be fair to them, they were unlucky with a shot right on half time.
Yeah.
Riyad Mahrez hit the bar from about 12, 15 yards out.
Yeah.
And I leaned over and said to my brother-in-law, I said, you know what? This could be our day today. You don't get that sort of luck week in, week out, do you? So, 9 times out of 10, Riyad Mahrez puts that in the net.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but Harry Kane, what a player!
What a player he's been. He's been one of the. He's up there with the best. That
well, not according to Micah Richards, but anyway.
Well, no, he doesn't know. Hang on, I'll defend my career. I'll defend my career. He wasn't saying that Kane was a bad player. He's just saying
he isn't in the class of Rooney and Shearer.
He just prefers.
All right.
He wasn't saying that Harry Kane isn't in the class of those two. He just said from his perspective, he preferred to watch Alan Shearer play football.
Yeah.
He was more his type of strike, and I think that's absolutely an okay opinion to have. And I think he was being harshly.
He's entitled to his own opinion.
He was being harshly hammered over that. And I will defend him on that because I was watching it and all he was saying was, look, I think Harry Kane's one of the best there's ever been. He's obviously a great goal scorer. The way he picks up the ball, he passes the ball, he's great. He just said, for me, as a number 9, I preferred watching Alan Shearer. And I think that is a perfectly fair opinion to have.
And to be fair to Micah Richards, if you're just looking for someone as a number 9, Alan Shearer is your man, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's all he did. He was inside the box.
Yeah.
Putting the ball in the back of the net.
He had a screamer in him as well, by the way. Let's not.
Yeah, but I'm talking about his all round game.
Yeah.
Harry Kane is much more than a number 9.
Yeah, but he's still a forward who wants to score goals at the end of the day, isn't he?
Absolutely.
And it's just what you prefer. I mean, I will always pick Rooney out of those 3.
Yeah. And I will always pick Harry Kane. So
I think Rooney's one of the most disrespected footballers we've ever had, considering the level he was at.
Yeah.
Because Rooney wasn't a player that's supposed to score 200 plus goals.
No, apparently not.
When you look at him and the way that he played the game, Kane's developed more into that type of player that Rooney was, if you like. You drop a bit deeper, get involved with the build-up, sacrifice yourself a little bit, but still chip in with your goals. That was Rooney for his whole career.
Yeah.
And, people don't respect him enough as a goal scorer. But Harry Kane has absolutely smashed it. He's up there. He's now chasing down Alan Shearer.
Yeah, he's only 60 away now.
He won't get. I don't think he'll get to Jimmy Greaves.
No, not 357. No,
I don't think he'll get there.
But I was looking at that list earlier. There was the players that were listed on that, likes of Ian Rush.
Do you know what I thought was the real surprising one? Actually, I think we need to put some more respect on his name. Tony Cottee.
Yeah, Tony Cottie's in the 200 club as well. Yeah,
but for league goals though, he's well up there, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think we need to put some respect on Tony Cottie's name.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I didn't
For
realise he moved.
in a 6-yard box, Tony Cottee was your man.
I didn't realise he moved like that, Tony Cottee. Maybe I only saw him towards the end of his career in the in the mid-90s, but
yeah, no, me too. Yeah, when he was at West Ham and Everton. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm so glad it happened at home.
Yeah.
There was a fear, obviously, last week when we played Preston, he might come on, but he had a bit of a cold and didn't come on.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he did that on purpose. Maybe for every away game where, while he was still waiting to get the last goal, he wasn't going to be able to play. He'd have been injured.
Yeah.
I'm fine this week, Gaffer. I'll play this week. Tottenham's best performance of the season.
Oh, absolutely. We were brilliant.
But who wasn't on
Where has that been hiding?
Well, who wasn't on the sideline?
Well, yes.
Who wasn't shouting and screaming at his players for 90 minutes?
And for me, who deserves special credit? Emerson Royale. I watched him.
Emerson
Royale was super.
And I'll be honest, it's the first time I've watched him this season. I was watching him and I was going, I don't know why everyone's got a problem with this guy. I was literally first time I've watched him properly this year. And I was watching it, I was going, why has everybody got a problem with this guy? He looks phenomenal.
He was superb.
Yeah.
I mean, to a man, they played well Sunday.
Yeah, Højbjerg was very good. Romero
was bossy midfield.
Until his red card.
Romero was doing all right. Yeah. In fairness, he took out Haaland in the first half, and I just stood there laughing because he literally cleaned Haaland out.
Yeah, Jack Grealish sorted him out though.
Jack Grealish,
what a clever player, a clever footballer.
Jack Grealish. Mm-hmm. He was booked after the final whistle.
Was he?
He should have been booked about an hour before. And the amount of things he got away with.
Oh yeah,
it's just like
I
was not
just too clever for your lot.
I was not having a very good time with Andy Madley, the referee. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I thought the red card was 2 yellows.
The red card was the right thing to do, but Jack Grealish, every time he went to the floor, he got a free kick.
Well,
every single time.
It's not because he was jumping on the floor, though. They were kicking him.
Yeah, sure.
No, they were. I was watching the game. Right, you were watching it with these tinted glasses on that you're wearing. Right, take them off. Jack Grealish was getting. I'm not. Remember, I'm not a City. I'm not a fan of City, by the way.
No. But in the first half, right, there was 2 incidents with Jack Grealish. There was one with Emerson Royale on the far side where he pushed him like Schlupp did to Anthony, which we'll get onto later.
Yeah.
Nothing came of it.
Yeah.
He actually did a foul himself, where it was quite a late challenge. Nothing came of it. So the fact that he's going down, getting free kicks and everything like that, being kicked to death by other people, if you're going to dish it out,
he can't take it. Well, he can take it, but the referee sees them as a foul because they're fouls. No. It's not about whether he can take it; it's about whether they're fouls or not, and they're fouls.
I thought Jack Grealish was better than that. No.
I thought Jack Grealish had a very good game actually. For City, he seemed to be the one who was likely.
I tell you what, Erling Haaland. Now I normally just judge a player on what I see in front of me, rather than watching it throughout the season because you only see what the cameras pick up, don't you? Anonymous, completely anonymous.
Yeah, but I don't think that's his fault. And I'll tell you why. Because again, I was watching this, and we've had this conversation already a few times this season. Because I was. And I'm glad actually that some of the commentators were saying it as well as I was watching it, and I was watching Haaland make runs, and he was making them, all game, and I'm surprised you didn't pick up on that actually, because he would have been running towards you a lot of the time in the first half, wouldn't he?
I don't think he had a touch inside the penalty area.
He didn't have touches, but he was making the runs, and the guys were saying it in commentary, going, well, he's just made another run there, so they're not finding him, and it comes back to this again that they're just not giving him the ball.
No, Eric Dyer removed him from his pocket after the final whistle.
He didn't really. No, I really disagree. I don't think this is anything to do with Haaland being in anybody's pocket. This is to do with the City players just not looking up.
No.
Just look up, see the run, play it in behind.
Kevin De Bruyne being on the bench surprised
this
me.
Is all. There's a lot of odd things going on at City at the minute. But let me finish on Haaland first.
Yeah.
Haaland going over the all you need to do for Haaland is look up, make the run, because I tell you what, he's faster than Eric Dyer.
Yeah,
and I think he'd outrun Romero. He'd be closer with Romero, but he's lightning.
Romero would, he'd
give him a race, but I think Haaland's lightning. Haaland he's fast, and we're not seeing that in the City team. We're not being seeing the all-round game of Haaland because he's just expected at the minute just to stand in the 6-yard box, and they're not even putting it to him on the plate in the 6-yard box. To be honest, they're playing all this stuff outside. They come back in, and you've got the best striker in the world, right? Up front, give him the ball. Just play him in, put it over the top, give it to him. It's and they keep doing it. And this thing, let's get on to the subs now, because I like Akanji, but I don't understand. I like Akanji, so I can see why he's in the team. But you've got Laporte, you've got Ruben Dias on the bench, who have been brilliant for the last 2 or 3 years as a pair, right? So I don't understand how Nathan Ake all of a sudden is ahead of those two footballers.
Well, Ruben Dias, I think, has only just come back from injury, hasn't he? Laporte has been on the bench quite a lot this season.
Yeah, that to me doesn't make sense. And like you said,
doesn't make sense.
De Bruyne not being on the football pitch, Gundogan not being on the football pitch. I mean, I'll tell you what, I said this to someone when I was at work the other day. I said to him, do you think Pep gets bored with winning? But he just turns around and goes, do you know what? I'll give this a go. I'll see if I can win. I can win doing this.
I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, just in general, this season, because it's not just this game; it's this season. He goes, right. I'm going to try something. I've won. Okay, I'm bored of this now. What else can I try? What's something different I can try and see what I can do?
I think, given that Arsenal were beaten at the weekend,
it was an opportunity.
They missed a very big.
It's an opportunity, but I don't understand. There's something going on at City.
Not right.
It's not right.
There's lots of things going on at City, but I mean, on and off the field.
But even you take that away, right? In the training, in the dressing room, something doesn't feel quite right, and it's an odd thing to say about a team that has been so successful, and they're still second in the league, but they should be winning this league at a canter. Let's not fool ourselves.
Yeah,
they should be clear of Arsenal, right? Not to say Arsenal should have less points. They should be on like 55 points at this point. This City team, they should be clear, But
they're not.
But they're in a dip in the season. They've missed their opportunity after Arsenal, because I think Arsenal will bounce back next week.
I'm not so sure.
I think they will. I think you have to judge that Everton game. We're moving into it, so we might as well. I think we judge that Everton game as a standalone. Right, that day, Sean Dyche's first game, the energy in that ground at Goodison, I think they would have beaten any football team that went there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Arsenal were still playing their football and had their chances.
Yeah.
They were doing it their way, and it was fine. It just didn't work for them on that day, and I think that will give them heart and give them enough to be able to bounce back from it. Because another day, they might have scored first.
Well, they've got Brentford at the weekend.
Yeah, but I think they'll bounce back, and I do think they'll beat Brentford. I do. I don't think you're hoping for the downfall of Arsenal.
No, I'm not hoping for the downfall. I'm just thinking, right? This is probably their first big setback that they've had.
It's not a big setback. You can lose games in this. This is only their second loss of the season. This is not a massive setback. It's a setback.
But you're losing to an Everton side that have been so disjointed all season.
This wasn't that Everton team. So you can go, right, you've got to think about it as well. And we talk about the manager bounce and do manager bounce. There's a reason that is. Because you prepare for a team and a way of playing.
Yeah.
But then when that team shows up on that day, they're nothing like what you've prepared for.
No.
Because Sean Dyche has been into them for a week and got at them. So, Arteta's telling them, right, this player's in bad form, you need to get at him. he's your trigger for the press or whatever. He's when in this situation we need to do this with this team. When they've got the ball, we're watching them. We need to do this. All that goes out the window because that's not the same team anymore. And I think just the energy that was around Goodison, once they had their protest, which was fine and fair, but then when the team walked out at the start of the game, that place was as loud as I've heard it all season. Probably since the end of last season when Frank was getting the big results when they was getting saved. Then that's a different Everton team. So I don't think it mattered what team went there. Right, you could have Pep's 2008, 2009 Barca team go to Goodison on Saturday. Everton would have won that game of football.
Yeah,
absolutely convinced by it. So I don't think it's that big a thing for Arsenal than everyone seems to be trying to make out for them. And I think actually they'll be fine next week. They'll be fine this weekend.
We'll see.
I think they'll be absolutely
full
fine.
Credit to Everton.
Oh, they were brilliant. Like I said,
I only saw the first sort of 20 minutes of it.
They were absolutely brilliant.
They were peppering the box from corners, and they won near enough every single header.
Yeah, well, when you've got Tarkowski in there to aim at, it's the most Burnley goal ever we saw for Everton at the weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
McNeil into Tarkowski.
Yeah, well, Onana was winning the headers.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a different player. He was breaking lines and all. I've never seen him do that.
Yeah.
Since he's been here, I thought Idrissa Gueye is all of a sudden back to being the player that we knew that he was. In his first spell at Everton.
Yeah.
Before he got his move, and he seems to have found that life again. Having Connor Cody and Tarkowski at the back, he's perfect for Sean Dyche's team and the way he sets up.
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman has still somehow got an engine in him.
Yeah.
Which how he's still going, by the way, at the pace he still goes at.
If I could have run that fast at 34, I'd be very happy.
I'm 33 now, and I couldn't do that. Couldn't do that.
Well, you could, but you just couldn't do it again.
Yeah, true. So he's got all. I think that squad is actually perfect for Sean Dyche. He's got a better quality of footballer as well at Everton than he had at Burnley.
Yeah, and Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, Dwight McNeil was really good. Having Calvert-Lewin back was massive.
Mm-hmm. They can get him firing, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, they don't even necessarily need him firing. They just need him being a nuisance. Yeah, which is what he was to Arsenal at the weekend. He was just a nuisance. Didn't give him a second. To be fair, none of the Everton team gave Arsenal a second. They were crunching into stuff. They were about it. They were about it. That's probably the most. Frank Lampard must be thinking, how's he done that? How's he done that with these players? How's he got that performance out of those players?
Experience, Frank.
Oh yeah, but time will tell. But for me, Everton brilliant, and I think bringing in Sean Dyche was a good move. And I think a lot of us thought that when he came in. Yeah. But really, really good.
Leeds missed the boat by a week.
Yeah. 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 So obviously, we haven't even talked about Jesse Marsch being sacked either.
So much going on this week.
Jesse Marsch has left, and obviously they've got 2 back-to-back games against United.
Good luck.
I mean, yeah, it's always worrisome though when they change. I'd rather play them while they still got the rubbish manager, to be honest.
Yeah.
With all these teams.
So now that just leaves West Ham as being the teams in the bottom 7 that haven't changed their manager.
Yeah.
Everybody else has now made a change or is making.
And the problem West Ham have is that David Moyes is probably the best person to try and keep them out of it.
Yeah.
If you look at who's probably available.
Yeah.
David Moyes has experience of keeping clubs up in a relegation battle.
Yeah. The Leeds apparently looking at Rayo Valladolid.
Yeah.
Bloke. Whoever he is.
Yeah, but the thing is, you say that.
Couldn't even pronounce his name.
But you say that, and it's like, these managers can come and be brilliant.
Yeah.
So, he's obviously got a good name.
I did see Maurizio Pochettino's name mentioned, and I was like, no.
But you're going to see his name mentioned in every single manager vacancy in the Premier League we ever see. I mean, it could be anybody. But no,
he still lives in London, so I'd imagine he's waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. So that's where we are with that situation. So let's go to Old Trafford because we're running out of time really. So we just want to let's just
whiz through.
Let's whiz through. Let's go to Old Trafford, and I mean the big incident there. United now 12 wins in a row at Old Trafford for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. So that's a positive, but obviously the big thing in this game was the incident that started with Jeffrey Schlupp throwing Anthony down a slope into an advertising board rather.
I mean, to be fair, does Anthony deserve that sort of treatment?
No, nobody deserves that, especially at Old Trafford, because it's actually dangerous. It's the one ground.
It's not. There is a very short runoff area.
Well, it's not that it's a short runoff. It's the bit that goes down, and then there's like this brick layer.
Yeah.
Before you get to the soft bit off the side of the pitch, it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous place to do that. You know, ankles could be broken and all sorts. And you know, I'm always very surprised we haven't seen a really nasty injury coming off of that pitch.
Yeah.
At United. You know,
I did see he tried the little turn thing the other night.
Yeah.
He tried the little circle thing again.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. Back him. You do you. But yeah. So
Casemiro. Sorry.
So it started all the trouble, and then Casemiro obviously has put his hands in a place that puts him at risk.
Yeah.
To get seen a red card. I don't think it's as aggressive.
No.
As everyone's kind of making out. I feel like he's kind of backing away from Will Hughes, and his hands are up there. It doesn't look good. When you take the still of it, it looks like he's Homer Simpson on Bart around his neck.
Yeah.
But generally, you know, when you watch the whole thing play out, I mean, 2 seconds later, they're laughing, they're joking with each other, everything's okay. You know, and then they've picked that incident out of all of it.
And yet, the entire melee.
As that's happening, you see AU with his hand right aggressively in Fred's throat.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens with that one.
Do you think Casemiro's reputation has preceded him there?
It's his first red card.
No, I mean in terms of from his time at Real Madrid and things like that.
No, it's his first red card ever.
What?
That's his first ever red card.
No.
Yes.
Has he done that?
Because he's very good at the job that he does.
The dark arts, you mean?
No, breaking up play properly, being a good tackler of a football.
He must have got sent off somewhere else.
No, that was his first ever red card. So it's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with reputation. He doesn't have a reputation for getting sent off.
Shocked, absolutely shocked.
Yeah, because he's just very good at his job. He tackles well. He covers the ground. He breaks up play. He knows how.
Very good. He's very good at his job, but he won't be doing it for the next 3 weeks.
He won't be doing it for the next 3 weeks. And I think the one thing that probably put United off any sort of appeal is the fact that we could get him an extra ban, and then he misses the final
extra game. Yeah.
So I think between you look at the 2 games against Leicester, against Leeds rather, and then the game against Leicester. And you'd hope that
you can probably do without
with Sabitzer coming in. If Sabitzer can hit the ground running, then hopefully, and it's a big if because he's been such a massive part of the way that we play this year, Casemiro. You know, and I think if he can turn up and do his thing, then we can get through those games. But to have Bruno Guimaraes and Casemiro both coming back off suspensions for the final, they're both going to be up for that game. And
it's going to finish 10-aside.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously there was another news story that broke around Manchester United over the weekend. Can't really say too much about that at the minute. We'll let United do their thing and maybe we'll talk about that later.
I was thinking, what was that? And then I've just twigged what it is.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that another time. But
yeah, definitely.
That probably needs a whole podcast to itself, that one. But so we're not going to talk about that, just so you know.
No, Christ no. We're already in enough trouble.
Yeah, I have my thoughts, but best to leave it just for now.
So should we just quickly run through the rest of the results?
Yeah, quickly run through the results then at the weekend.
Wolves with a great win over Liverpool.
Oh, fantastic. God, I want to talk about how crap Liverpool are.
Oh, you'll have to wait.
Oh, Liverpool are so bad. So bad. The downfall of Liverpool and going on.
If only Manchester City hadn't got themselves in hot water.
And going on.
You'd have had plenty of time to talk about Liverpool.
Oh, and then you get to go on TikTok afterwards. And you see the likes of Jonathan Morley and Paddy Murphy and and Anfield Agenda, who are absolutely losing their minds because their team are so rubbish. so bad. But don't worry, guys, because Klopp said the third goal doesn't count.
Yes, yeah.
I don't
Wolves only played for the first 11 minutes of the last 12.
I don't count the third goal. Did you not? Well, everyone else does, Klopp. So wrap that one up on the goal difference.
Oh, yeah. Good win for Brentford over Southampton. They want Nathan Jones out already.
Oh, he's another one. Didn't he come out and say he's the best manager in the world or something daft like that?
He said no. He said he's having to adapt his philosophy to suit what he's got, basically.
I thought he'd said somewhere this week that he was one of the best managers in the world, and or the best manager in the world, because his Luton team at the time were number one in all the stats.
He might well have said that.
I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. Yeah. All right, Nate. That's really helping you down in 20th place in the league, and it was Southampton.
Leicester beating Aston Villa. That was quite a good game as well.
I've got nothing to say about that one, I don't think.
No? Okay. And then Brighton beat Bournemouth by 1-0 with Matima with another
He's on
goal
fire right now. Matoma,
yeah.
Other
than that,
did you talk about Forest?
I think we've covered all of them. Oh, Forest. Oh, Christ. Forest beat Leeds.
Oh, by the way, how hilarious is it at Forest as a United fan that Dean Henderson's not getting back into the Nottingham Forest team now either? Keylor Navas, absolutely
Behave yourself.
Fire. Keylor, he's not getting back in that team, Dean Henderson, when he's fit. He can cry about it on Twitter somewhere else. Let his agent leak some more news. You're going to hear all the news going on in the Nottingham Forest dressing room soon, guys. Just look out for those in the local Nottingham papers, because no one nationally is going to care.
You done?
I think so.
Right, okay. Shall I take us around the world?
Let's go around the world. Might as well at this point.
Let's take us around the world. Quickly around the world. We have spent far too much time talking already.
We really have.
So, I'm going to start in Serie A this week, where Lautaro Martinez scored the only goal as Inter beat AC in the Milan derby to keep the gap to 13 as Napoli won 3-0. They are running away with Serie A this season. To Ligue 1, where a bit of Messi magic saw PSG pass Toulouse by 2-1. There's a good weekend for PSG elsewhere as Marseille and Lens both failed to win, so the gap is now up to 8. Speaking of sides that have an 8-point lead, that brings us to Spain, where Barcelona beat Seville by 3-0. Real Madrid lost to Mallorca in a bit of a shock in La Liga. To Saudi, where Cristiano Ronaldo scored his first goal from the penalty spot to rescue a point for Al Nazir against Al Fatah. In the WSL, Chelsea beat Tottenham by 3-2 to retake the lead in the table, as Arsenal and Manchester United could only draw against West Ham and Everton respectively. Manchester City beat Leicester, Liverpool beat Reading, whilst Aston Villa drew with Brighton in the other games. To Down Under and the A-League, and our old friends from Sydney FC, who beat the Central Coast Mariners by 3-2. Both teams had a man sent off in the first half, with Football Manager favourite Adam Lafondra grabbing the winning goal. Go on, Adam. Good boy. And finally, to the Bundesliga title race, where Union Berlin had gone top of the table with a 2-1 win over Mainz on Saturday, only for Bayern Munich to respond by beating Wolfsburg 4-2 on Sunday.
Well, there we are then. All that stuff's going on around the world. There's plenty of stuff to get on with this week. So, and plenty of good football coming up this weekend as well, I think. Shall we?
There is.
What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Give us the fixtures.
So, we have a London derby to start us at 12:30. West Ham against Chelsea. Then Nottingham Forest take on Fulham at 3 o'clock, with Leicester and Tottenham playing at that time as well. Arsenal and Brentford, Crystal Palace and Brighton, Southampton and Wolves, big game down the bottom at St Mary's. The 5:30 game is Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Then we head to Sunday, where it's Leeds versus Manchester United, Manchester City versus Aston Villa, before the Merseyside derby on Monday Night Football.
I'm very, very surprised, by the way, that the police have let the Merseyside derby go on an evening.
Mate, the police have nothing to do with it anymore. We've had this debate between ourselves.
I was so surprised to see that that's the Monday Night Football game. I mean, I was thinking,
because we're playing West Ham next week.
Yeah.
At 4:30 on a Sunday. That game should never be kicking off at 4:30 on a Sunday.
I just think that's
absolutely no way.
It's asking for trouble, isn't it? That
it is asking for trouble. Yeah, but apparently we spoke to a police officer about it one week, maybe a season and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And they said, we have no say in it whatsoever. We just do what we're told.
Because I thought, you think about it over the years, like Manchester derbies, and
always
even
12 o'clock.
Yeah, and the United Liverpool games are always at like midday on a Saturday, so that or early kickoff, so that
Yeah.
I think
less drinking time.
I think that's asking for trouble. I do. I mean, you saw what the Leeds fans were doing when they were away. Where were they at the weekend? Forest.
They were at Forest,
and they were all kicking off. They were all out of order. I don't know. Right then, thank you so much for listening this week. We'll be back. We got lots to talk about next week, I'm sure. We'll get more updates on the Manchester City situation or whatever. In the meantime, if you don't want to get in touch with us, please tweet us at Let's Football Pod on your Twitters, or you can email us at letsfootballpod@gmail.com. But for now, everyone, stay safe, look after yourselves, enjoy the football, and we will see you all next time. All right, goodbye.
Bye.